So it's always interesting to me how people view homes with their realtors, because I don't see that far often. And it's one thing to look at the pictures on the MLS, right? But then seeing a home in person, I imagine there's things that you really need to be paying attention to as you're viewing the property. What's different if you're looking at something to rent versus if you're actually going to buy it?
The biggest difference is if you're looking to buy, you're looking at things that are going to cost you in the long run. So things that maybe aren't done to the house that need to be done soon, and things that obviously will show up in your inspection report, but maybe you'll want to get a heads up on before you call your inspector. First of which, if you look around in the neighborhood, if you're in a neighborhood where all the houses are exactly the same, cookie cutter if you will, suburbia, then more than likely you're going to have an HOA. Those costs can go anywhere from $100 to $500.
Makes a big difference in your monthly expenses.
Big difference in your monthly expenses, and they don't always cover utilities. Sometimes it's just something in addition to the utilities you would have to pay, plus your mortgage, plus your insurance, and just topples. Yeah. One of the biggest things you want to look for is roofs on homes, especially in an older neighborhood like this. We're obviously in Midtown, where the roofs could be 50 to 70 years old at times. And the way you would know is a roof needs replacing is to see how many layers there are of shingles. Typically, if you have anywhere from 3 to 5 layers, it needs to be replaced very, very soon.
And your lender's going to be glad if you made note of this in advance.
Very glad. Another thing is too, you might have 2 layers of roofing, but you're gonna have to have an inspector make sure that that other layer was put on sufficiently. Really the best way to ever redo a roof is to redo the roof. Take everything old that's out and then replace it with something new. Back in the day, it was more popular to just keep on piling, but that doesn't really fix your problem in the long run.
Good to know.
Another huge thing to consider when you're buying a home is to make sure that there are gutters installed. If you can't see them, and this is obviously new development, then you want to make sure with your inspector that you have French drains, which are just underground, but they do the same job.
That's good to know, because you wouldn't think to look for it.
You wouldn't think to look. And gutters are so important, mostly because any water that splashes down, not only does it cause ice, and it's a dangerous environment to be in when it is cold outside, but that water, that splashback will actually get, especially if you have wood siding, inside of your home and possibly inside of your crawl space, which then causes mold, huge problems. And it's so easy to see. Just look up if there's gutters, great. If not, that's something to consider. You're gonna need to buy them very soon, unless they are underground. And something else that ties into that is drainage. You wanna make sure that the home, the water is draining away from the home. And an easy way to look is just literally by looking at the foundation of the home, make sure that the land or the earth is going away from it. If you see that there's a slope going inward, that means that water is getting literally trapped and going right into your crawl space, which is the worst case scenario. Now, if you're a renter, you don't necessarily need to look at everything so closely. Of course, this is not a long-term investment for you, but you do want to make sure and at least look at the landscaping, make sure that everything is being kept up, everything is looking nice, because if it's not, obviously, number one, you may not want to live there, and number two, it may mean that the tenants are responsible for the landscaping themselves, which means you would be responsible. And that's another additional cost that you might not foresee. So the first thing you want to do as a renter when you walk into a home is smell it. If it smells really bad, if it smells mildewy, if it smells like people have been smoking here, it means that they have been, and there is. So take that into consideration.
Those smells are not easy to get out.
Those smells are not easy to get out. They're expensive. The owner will probably not want to do it, so you're probably not going to live there. Whether you're buying or renting, one of the things you want to look at as well are your air vents. If you see a very dusty, crusty looking air vent, that means that there's something clogging it inside, or there's a lot of dust or buildup inside. A lot of dirt that you want to get rid of. Allergens, who knows what else. It's a pretty simple fix. If you're renting, it might just mean that the people before you never changed out the air filter. Easy fix again. And if you're buying, you would just need to get the vents professionally cleaned, which $300 expense maybe. So not too bad. Another thing in the main living spaces, you want to make sure that there are working smoke detectors.
Yeah.
Per Reno Fire Code, smoke detectors have to be installed in every single common room and bedroom. So if we walk, there's one up here, and then through the bedroom here, like I said, per fire code, one smoke detector in every sleeping space and common space. Common spaces, of course, include dens, living rooms. We saw the one in the family room just now. What's also important is that you do need carbon monoxide detectors now.
Appraisers are going to check that.
Absolutely, and the other thing is too, a lot of the time the new smoke detectors have CO detectors built in, so you want to make sure that there's both of them. It'll actually say in fine white print. If you just get up on a ladder, you'll see. And if not, then you need to install a separate carbon monoxide detector as well. One of the biggest things that are overlooked with anybody who's looking at a home, buyer or renter, is windows. I've actually read before that if you upgrade your windows from single to double pane, it's one of the worst investments you can make for your home.
Why?
You get the least amount of return because people don't care about it until they live there.
Yeah.
And then you live there and you can see if you have single pane windows, it's very hot in the summer, it's very cold in the winter, and you're wasting so much money on your energy costs. So just make sure your windows are double pane. If you're not sure how to check, Your inspector will do it for you, but just make sure that you ask. And another reason why people don't switch them out is because it's a very large expense up front. That's also another reason why you don't get a lot of return for it, but I think that the more that we educate people about it, the more that's going to diminish and people are going to see returns off your windows, because it is so important and it makes a huge difference in the way that you live your life in your home.
Energy and noise.
Absolutely, yeah. Going into the bathroom, specifically shower stalls, if you're seeing that there's a lot of cracked caulking or a lot of mildew, again, that smell coming up, then you want to make sure that that is checked out. If you're a renter, specifically, you should be worried about this because obviously the people that lived there before you were not very clean or do not care about it, meaning that water could have intruded within the caulking, specifically if it's cracked, and is now causing mold within the walls, which is not great. And again, with an expense that large, you're never guaranteed if your owner is going to do anything about it. Of course, if you're buying, that's a large red flag because you would have to do something about it. If you're a renter looking at a property, just also make sure there's a fire extinguisher at the property. A lot of the times they could be outside in one of those great glass.
But you should know where it is.
But you should know where it is. And if it's not there, somewhere on the outskirts of the property, it's typically, by the way, adjacent to the back door. If you guys have a backyard, it would be underneath the kitchen sink. So you can see there's not one in here because there's one outside on this property. So
good to know.
Yeah.
So odds are this particular property won't be available. But if someone wants to get in touch with you about renting or buying a home, they can contact you how?
They can go online, www.marmotproperties.com, M-A-R-M-O-T. A lot of people have trouble spelling it. And then we have all of our rentals listed on there. We are all Midtown all the time when it comes to rentals. So if you guys are looking to rent in Midtown, we're kind of like your go-to. In addition, we can help you for selling your home, helping you buy a home, or helping you find an investment property as well. So any of those things, marmotproperties.com. So you can email me and we'll get you started.